Welcome to the Retirement Guide Podcast. I'm your host, George Jameson, the owner of Capital Wealth Group, a fee-only advisory firm. Whether you're nearing retirement or already retired, join me each week as we explore the world of retirement planning and equip you with the knowledge and tools you need for a successful retirement. Hi, I'm George Jameson, certified financial planner and founder of Capital Wealth Group, located in Columbia, South Carolina. Today, we're diving into a question I hear all the time. How do you know how much you're going to spend in retirement each year before you actually retire? If you underestimate your spending, you can put the safety of your retirement plan at risk. However, if you overestimate, you might be working longer than you actually need to be. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through 7 simple steps to help you accurately predict your retirement spending so you can retire with confidence. So step 1, find your baseline. Before you plan for retirement spending, you need to understand what you spend today. Ideally, you have a detailed budget where every transaction is categorized, from groceries, utility bills, entertainment, you name it. If you already do this, fantastic. However, for most of us, we probably don't keep that detailed of a budget. So if this is not you, grab your bank and credit card statements for the past 12 to 36 months. Total up all outflows. Just be careful not to double count your credit card payments when they hit your checking account. This gives you a solid baseline of your current lifestyle's cost. Think of this as your starting line in your retirement budget. So step 2, subtract out retirement savings and any other expenses you will not have in retirement. You want to remove the money you're currently saving, those 401k contributions, Roth IRA deposits, taxable brokerage account investments. None of these will continue once you retire. So if you saved $20,000 in retirement account last year, deduct that from your baseline. You also may have other expenses that you'll not have in retirement. For instance, if your house will be paid off, you won't have a mortgage payment. Maybe you still have dependents at the house or kids in college. You may not have those expenses in retirement, so subtract those as well. Now you have a clear view of what you actually need to live on once you stop working. Now step 3, estimate healthcare cost. Healthcare is one of the biggest unknowns for retirees, so let's break it down. If you're already 65 or older, you'll obviously enroll in Medicare. Part A is typically premium-free, but Parts B and D carry annual costs. Roughly $2,200 per person for Part B and about $666 for Part D today. If you're married, that's about $5,775 a year for just the premiums alone. Then you add a Medigap policy premium to cover deductibles and co-insurance. Depending on your plan, that could be anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000 per person annually. If you're retiring before 65, you'll need to estimate your Affordable Care Act marketplace premium instead until you hit age 65. I did a whole podcast last week on the ACA and the changes that are going forward starting in 2025. So please check it out. You can also visit healthcare.gov and enter in your details and choose a middle-of-the-road silver plan as a benchmark. Then add those projected premiums to your baseline budget. So step 4, define your discretionary fund budget. Discretionary spending is what makes retirement enjoyable. Travel, dining out, hobbies, charitable giving. But your baseline likely already includes some of these. That's why it helps to categorize your budget. Which expenses do you consider essential and which are discretionary? Remember, essential here is very subjective. Internet might be non-essential in theory, but if you love streaming movies, it's essential for you. Once you've tagged current expenses as either essential or discretionary, sit down with your partner and think about how these categories will change. Maybe you've only taken one annual trip, but want to double that in retirement. Or perhaps you love culinary experiences. Identify the money dials things you derive the most joy from, and decide where to dial it up or dial back the spending. And then step 5, create 3 spending levels rather than one single spending target. Think in terms of 3. First, you have your minimum target, your bare bones essential spending. This is the level you need to cover necessities such as housing, food, basic health care, and so on. And then number 2 would be what I call goal target, your ideal, realistic budget based on the discretionary spending you identified. This is the number you've been building toward. Then number 3, I like to call dream target, an upper limit budget representing the most you'd want to spend, even if you could spend more. There's usually a point of diminishing returns. Spending beyond this wouldn't meaningfully increase your happiness. Having these 3 targets helps you see how close you are to your dream lifestyle and whether you should work a few more years for that extra cushion or if you're already safe to retire now. Step 6, factor in taxes. Now let's consider taxes before and after Social Security. You'll need a tool or software that can model tax liability on withdrawals. I use a financial planning software called Right Capital that includes tax planning. I also use another one called Holistiplan that goes into more detail. If you're doing this yourself, there are a couple good ones online as well. This is where distribution or withdrawal tax strategies comes into play. Should you take money from your pre-tax account, your taxable account, or your tax-free account? When and in what order? This is very important, and using some type of financial planning software that incorporates taxes will help you decide where to start taking distributions from and how it will affect your taxes over time. You'll want to run this through your tax tool to estimate your annual tax liability each year in retirement. Add that to your pre-tax spending targets to get an accurate view of how much gross income you'll need. So let's move on to step 7. Step 7, project income into the future. Finally, retirement spending doesn't always stay flat. While inflation does push costs up, research shows that retirees' real spending is more like what we call the retirement spending smile. Most people tend to spend more in the early years of retirement, less during the middle phase, and then more again later in retirement due to health-related expenses. Projecting your spending like this can give you a more nuanced, realistic picture of your financial needs over a 30-year retirement horizon. But everyone's retirement journey is unique. Take my parents, for example. They are 76 and 79 and are spending as much or more on travel now than they ever did before. My mom just returned from a 2-week mission trip to Uganda. Then they joined my family for a mountain getaway and spent a week at the beach, and now they're on the way to Mexico for another week-long mission trip. So let's now wrap it up. So there you have it. 7 steps to craft a personalized retirement spending plan that goes well beyond the generic 80% rule of thumb. So let's recap. First, find your baseline. Think of this as your starting line in your retirement planning budget. Step 2, subtract out retirement savings or any other expenses you will not have in retirement. Step 3, estimate healthcare costs. Step 4, define your discretionary fund budget, the discretionary spending that makes retirement enjoyable. And then step 5, create 3 spending levels. Having these 3 targets helps you see how close you are to your dream lifestyle and whether you should work a few more years for that extra cushion or if it's already safe for you to retire now. And then step 6, factor in taxes. And step 7, project income into the future. If you follow these steps, you'll have a detailed, realistic estimate of what you need each year in retirement. And it'll give you a peace of mind knowing your plan is built on solid data, not just a rule of thumb. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend, leave a comment, or reach out to me directly. I'm George Jameson of Capital Wealth Group. And remember, you may not need more money. You may just need a better plan. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Retirement Guide. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review to help others discover the show. For questions, ideas, or discuss your retirement plan, reach out to me, George Jameson, at Capital Wealth Group. If you'd like a free retirement review, visit our website at capitalwealthplan.com to learn more. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more insightful retirement planning in future episodes. And now for the disclaimer. The information discussed in this podcast is for general explanations and education only. It is not tax, legal, or investment advice. Before considering acting on any information heard here, first consult with your tax, legal, or investment advisor. Thank you and have a great day.